Welcome back to another episode of Bassing with Captain Lou. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to take advantage of those transitional areas, especially when you fish areas out here like in the marshlands. I'm out here in the Bass Hunter boat. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. As you guys can see, the sky is extremely blue, the sun is extremely bright, and it's a warming trend. Earlier in the week, it was cold and breezy. Now it's transitioning back to warming trend. So these fish are just, they don't know what in the world is going on, but I did figure out that if I took advantage of fishing the transitional areas, I was going to get bit. Now, before I continue, let me define what a transitional area means to me. A transitional area is any area where you go from deep water to shallow water or from shallow water to deep water. Depends on how you want to look at it. However, where that bite is extremely important, because sometimes they can start hitting on you when it goes from the shallow to the deep. But in today's case, they were very active when I went from the deep to shallow transitional areas, and they stayed more on the shallow areas. So my job was to figure out how shallow were these bass going today to strike my lure. They were going pretty shallow. However, they still stayed in the area where they're able to transition into that deep water very quickly. And what do I mean by what? I'm going to continue emphasizing the transitional area, because the transitional areas consist of, mainly down here, it consists of limestone. You could see it. You'll see it in this shot. It's just made of stone. It's just like a ridge that just goes down, or a slope that goes down. Some areas it goes down sharply. Some areas it goes down in a very shallow slope. In this particular case, it is very pronounced, the transition space. And it consists of, like I said, very big rocks, sediment, and various types of vegetation. Now, the types of vegetation played a very important role today as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and explain that in a little bit. Now, you could tackle these transitional areas using various types of baits. In this particular case, the bait that got me out of a jam, and it's no stranger to the channel, and you guys know I throw this bait a lot, it was the swim bait. I mean, I threw the swim jig, I threw the popper, I threw an assortment of different types of lures, and I kept coming back to the swim bait today. And the swim bait was the lure of choice for me, because it landed, all the fish that I caught today were all caught because of the swim bait. So here's a quick little interruption. I just want to plug these swim baits. These are the CPF lure swim baits. These make for great stocking stuffers. The 5-inch wobblers from CPF lures. If you don't know what to get your significant other, just drop a pack of one of these in their Christmas stocking. You're going to turn their day around. Now, how I fished the swim bait was very important. And now the reason why that's important is because once you identified the area that the bass are congregating in, you then have to go ahead and figure out to see what type of speed and pace that these fish wanted. Do they want that swim bait burned up top, or do they want it just slow and shallow, or slow and methodical, or you're just thumping that tail very slowly? You got to go ahead and experiment what works for you. I know what worked for me, and today what worked for me was at medium speed. I kept my swim bait on the upper end of the water column, and that's where I was getting my hits mainly. And the hits were coming very strong. There were very ferocious hits that were happening anywhere between pencil grass or pepper grass in regards to the rocky edge of the transitional area. And the reason why I share that with you is because you got to make, like I've always told you guys, you got to make mental notes on where you're getting these hits, because you got to duplicate these areas. If you're just blindly not taking notes and just blind casting, you're in for a very long day. However, if you get very specific to where you're casting and pay attention to the areas you're catching fish, if you duplicate that throughout your outing, you are going to catch yourself a boatload of fish and maybe come across a nice bass. Now, when it comes to gear, I was fishing the 735, the Dobbin 735 on a Shimano SLX 7-speed. I was using, if I'm not mistaken, this is 50-pound braid, 40 or 50-pound braid, and it's directly tied on to my CPF swim bait. And the reason why that's important is because when these fish were hitting into that cover, even if they were 2-pounders or 3-pounders, they could get pretty hard to pull out of that cover once they wrap inside that vegetation. As far as my hook, I'm using a Owner 5/0 swim bait hook. It's a keel bait hook with a 1/8 of an ounce. Okay, I like to have a little bit of weight to my swim bait so it could do a nice swimming action to it. And that's basically what I did. Now, was it a slam dunk of an outing? No, I had to cover a lot of water. However, I took a lot of mental notes in regards to the areas I was focusing on. So I just duplicated my casting area to different zones, and believe it or not, I had a pretty decent bag. I'm not done fishing yet, so hopefully I could catch a few more before my day is over. But again, I just wanted to share how to fish transitional areas when you're out here fishing in the Everglades. I'm glad you guys stuck around to the end of this video. Like this video, share this video, better yet, subscribe. The community is growing. If you want to learn 2 important little tips of how to handle bass fishing out here in the Everglades after a cold front. Check out this video right here. If you want to see the official launch of my new company website, please check out this video right here where I explain the new launch. So exciting, and I would love you guys to stick around and watch that. However, if you gotta go, I will see you guys again soon. Take care of yourselves.